All right, so 21. God bless y'all. 21, chapter 21. The days grew warmer and the blue lake opened for swimming, but Siko and I avoided the glistening naked boys who dared the deep blue power of the lake. Instead, we worked our way around the teeming lake towards the creek. It was time for the arrival of the golden carp. He will come today, Siko whispered. The white sun is just right. He pointed up at the dazzling sky. Around us, the earth seemed to groan as it grew green. We had many days, but the day we were sure he would come. We crawled through the green thicket and sat by the edge of the pond. Around us sang the chorus of insects which had just worked their way out of the winter nests and cocoons. While we waited, time flowed through me and filled me with many thoughts. I was still concerned with the silence of God at communion. Every Saturday since Easter I had gone to confession. Every Sunday morning I went to the railing and took communion. I prepared my body and my thoughts for receiving God, but there was no communication from him. Sometimes, in moments of great anxiety and disappointment, I wondered if God was alive anymore, or if he had ever been. He had not been able to cure my Uncle Lucas or free the Teles family from the curse, and he had not been able to save Lupito and Narciso, and yet he had the right to send you to hell or heaven when he died. Doesn't seem right, I said aloud. What? Siko asked. God. Yeah, he agreed. Then why don't you go to church? I asked. My mother believes, he answered. I go to please her. Then why do you go to church? I used to think everyone believed in God, I said. There are many gods, Siko whispered. Gods of beauty and magic, gods of garden, gods in our own backyards. We go off to foreign countries to find new ones. We reach to the stars to find new ones. Why don't we tell others of the golden carp? I asked. They would kill him, Siko whispered. The God of the church is a jealous God. He cannot live in peace with other gods. He would instruct his priests to kill the golden carp. What if I become a priest like my mother wants me to? You have to choose, Tony, Siko said. You have to choose between the good of the church, the God of the church, or the beauty that is here and now. He pointed out, looking into the dark, clear water of the creek. Two brown carp swam from under the thicket into the open. He comes, we held our breath and peered into the water beneath the overhanging thicket. The two brown carp had seen us, and now they circled and waited for their master. The green glittered off his golden scales. It's him. The golden fish swam by gracefully, cautiously, after testing the water after a long sleep in his subterranean waters. His powerful tail moved in slow strokes as he slid through the water toward us. He was beautiful. He was truly a god. The white sun reflected off his bright orange scales, and the glistening, glorious light blinded us and filled us with the rapture true beauty brings. Seeing him make questions and worries evaporate, and I remain transfixed, caught and caressed by the essential elements of sky and the earth and water. The sun warmed us with its life-giving power, and up in the sky, a white moon smiled on us. Damn, he's beautiful, Siko whistled as the golden carp glided by. Yes, I agreed, and for a long time we did not speak. The arrival of the golden carp rendered us silent. We let the sun beat down on us, and like pagans we listened to the lapping water and the song of life in the grass around us. Whose priest will I be, I thought. The idea that there could be other gods besides the God of heaven ran through my mind. Was the golden carp a god of beauty, a god of here and now, like Siko said? He made the world peaceful. Siko, I said, let's tell Florence. It was not right, I thought, that Florence did not know. Florence needed at least one guy, and I was sure he would believe in the golden carp. I could almost hear him say as he peered into the waters, alas, a God who does not punish, a God who can bring beauty into my life. Yes, Siko said after a long pause, I think Florence is ready. He has been ready for a long time. He doesn't have gods to choose between. He doesn't have gods to choose between. Does one have to choose, I asked. Is it possible to have both? Perhaps, he answered. The golden carp accepts all magic that is good, but your God, Tony, is a jealous God. He does not accept competition. Siko laughed cynically. I had to laugh with him because I was excited and happy that we were going to let Florence in on our secret. Perhaps later Jason would know, and then maybe others. It seemed like the beginning of adoration of something simple and pure. We made our way up the creek until we were just below the blue lake. On this side of the lake, there was a concrete wall with a spillway. As the lake filled, it emptied in a slow trickle into El Rito. No one was allowed to swim along the wall because the water was very deep and full of thick weeds, and because the lifeguard was on the other side. But as we came up the gentle slope, we heard the shouts of swimmers. I recognized Horse and the others shouting and waving at us. There's not supposed to be here, Siko said. Something's wrong, I answered. I heard the pitch of fear in their voices as they called and gestured frantically. Remember, we tell only Florence, Siko cautioned. I know, I replied. Hurry, hurry, Abel cried. It's a joke, Siko said as we neared the gang. No, something's happened. We sprinted the last few yards and came to the edge of the culvert. What, I asked. Florence is down there, Bones cried. Florence hasn't come up. He hasn't come up. Abel sobbed and tugged at my arm. How long? I shouted and worked myself loose from Abel. It was not a joke. Something was wrong. A long time, Horse nodded through the battle in his mouth. He dived. He pointed into the deep water and he didn't come up. Too long. Florence, I groaned. We had come seeking Florence to share our secret with him, a secret of the dark, deep blue water in which he swam. He drowned, Bones whimpered. How long? I wanted to know. How long has he been in the water? But their fright would not let them answer. I felt Sickle's hand on my shoulder. Florence is a good swimmer, Sickle said, but he's been down too long. Abel whimpered. What do we do? Horace asked nervously. He was frightened. I grabbed Abel. Go get the lifeguard. I pointed across the lake where the high school boys loitered on the pier and dove off the high board to show off for the girls. Tie anyone you can find there. There's been an accident here, I shouted into his fear-frozen face. Tell him there's a drowning. Abel nodded and scampered up the path that cut around the side of the lake. He was instantly lost in the tall green reeds of the cattails. It was a warm day. I felt the sweat cold on my face and arms. The sun glistened on the wide waters of the lake. What? Dive after him. No, Horse shook his head violently and bolted back. I'll dive, Sickle said. He began to strip. Too late. We looked and saw the body come up through the water, rolling up and over in a slow motion, reflecting the sunlight. The long blonde hair swirled softly like golden seaweed as the lake released its grip and the body tumbled up. He surfaced near where we stood on the edge of the culvert. His eyes open, stared up at us. There was a white film over them. Oh my God, help me, Sickle said and grabbed an arm. We pulled up and tried to tear the dead weight of his body from the waters of the lake. There was a red spot on Florence's forehead where he must have hit the bottom of the edge of the culvert. And there was some rusty black barbed wire around one arm. That must have held him down. Horace, I shouted, help us. The weight was too much for Sickle and me. Horace hesitated, closed his eyes, and grabbed the leg. Then he pulled like a frightened animal. At first, he almost tipped us all back into the water, and he lunged in his frantic strength, pulled Florence over the side of the culvert. Bones would not come near. He stood away, a dry rattling sound echoing from his throat. He was vomiting, and the vomit ran down his chest and stomach and dirtied his swimming trunks. I wonder if Rudolfo can hear me. He didn't know he was vomiting. His wild eyes just stared at us as we pulled Florence on the sand. I looked across the lake and saw the high school boys pointing excitedly toward us. Some were already convinced something was wrong and were sprinting up the path. They would be here in seconds. Damn, Sickle cursed. He's dead for sure. He's cold and heavy like death. Chingada, Horace muttered and turned away. I dropped to my knees beside the bronze wet body. I touched his forehead. It was cold. His hair was matted with moss and water. Sand clung to his skin, and as he dried, little black sand ants began to crawl over him. I crossed my forehead and prayed in act of contrition like I had for Narciso, but it was no good. Florence had never believed. The lifeguard was the first one there. He pushed me aside, and he and another schoolboy turned Florence on his stomach. He began pushing down on Florence's back, and a sickening white foam flowed from Florence's mouth. Damn, how long was he under, he asked. About 5 or 10 minutes. Bones growled through his vomit. You fucking little bastards, the lifeguard cursed back. I told you guys 100 times not to swim here. 2 years I've had a perfect record here. Now this. He continued pushing down on Florence's back, and the white froth continued to flow from his mouth. Think we should get a priest, the other high school boy asked worriedly. Quite a few people were already gathered around the body, watching the lifeguard work, asking, who is it? I wasn't looking at Florence. Pause. We're going to pause right here, okay? No. Because what are you going to do? Are you going to make noise?
No, I'm not.
You're not going to make noise? You're just going to listen? Okay. So you were going to make noise?
I was not.
You were not going to make noise? Or you were? I love her. So beautiful. You know how you look at every parent looks at their kid? They just love their kid, you know? But, alright guys, so how many pages do I have left? Oh, it's almost done. I'm gonna just go over here, finish it real quick, and then I'm gonna... She knows what she was doing, but I'm gonna just finish it. I'm almost done with this chapter. I wasn't looking at Florence anymore. I wasn't looking at anybody. My attention was centered on the northern blue skies. Okay, so I think we should get a priest. Hello, let me finish this. Hello, why are you doing this? You know I need you quiet. I think we should get a priest, the other high school boy asked worriedly. Quite a few people were already gathered around the body, watching the lifeguard work, asking, who is it? I wasn't looking at Florence anymore. I wasn't looking at anybody. My attention was centered on the northern blue skies. There were 2 hawks circled as they rode the warm air currents of the afternoon. They glided earthward in wide concentric circles. I knew there was something dead on the road to Tucumcari. I guess it was the sound of the siren or the people pushing around me that shattered my hypnotic gaze. I didn't know how long I had been concerned with the hawk's free flight, but now there were many people pushing around me, and the sound of the siren grew louder, more urgent. I looked around for Sickle, but he was gone. Bones and Horace were eagerly answering questions for the crowd. Who is he? Florence, he's our friend. How did he drown? What happened? Almost done. How did he drown? What happened? He drove in and got caught on the wire. We told him not to go swimming here, but he did. We dove in and pulled him out. I didn't want to hear anymore. My stomach turned and made me sick. I pushed my way through the crowd and began to run. I don't know why I ran. I just knew I had to be free of the crowd. I ran up the hill and through the town's quiet streets. Tears blinded my eyes, but the running got rid of the sick feeling inside. I made my way down the river and waded across. The doves that had come to drink at the river cried sadly. The shadows of the brush and the towering cottonwoods were thick and dark. The lonely river was a sad place to be when it was a small boy who had just seen a friend die. And it grew sadder when the bells of the church began to toll and the afternoon shadows lengthened. The lonely river was a sad place to be when one is a small boy who has just seen a friend die. And it grew sadder when the bells of the church began to toll and the afternoon shadows lengthened. All right, that was number 21. Peace.